me down. Down to the rabbit hole. Follow me down. Follow me down. Rabbit hole.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rabbit Hole Heroines. My name is Jessica, the Big Weird Mom.
And I'm Jess, Crazy Mother Runner.
And I got to be honest with you, this is the podcast that I have been waiting to do since we started podcasting. I am so excited to be talking about one of my very favorite subjects, MLMs, which is really weird to say. I don't know why, but I just love talking about them. So we have two special guests with us. We have Allie from TikTok, and we have Cassie. Cassie is a Monat. It's Monat, right?
Monat, yeah.
Monat Distributor. So we are going to be talking about all about MLMs. We are going to be, I think, first off, we should all tell our story, because I think everyone on this planet has an MLM story, and some of them are fun, some of them are crazy, some of them are off the wall. Jess, do you want to start us off?
Okay. Mine was actually within the last few years. I have sold MLMs in my life. I've never lasted long with them though, because I have ADHD. Things don't work like that for me. But so I was working at the public school, and there was this really adorable Aussie woman that had just come into the country. Her husband was American. They had relocated here with their 3 kids. And they were like, oh my gosh, I don't have a lot of friends. I would love to go get a coffee. And immediately my brain's like, is this ulterior motives? Is this genuine? So of course I'm like, okay. I'm really hesitant. I mean, I don't really like women that much. I'm sorry. In real life, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm just like, okay, I'll go. And I'm telling my coworkers, I'm like, I'm really nervous. We're going to go. And she's going to try to sell me something. And she's like, okay, well, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's genuine. So we go, we have a fabulous time. I'm drinking my coffee. She's drinking her tea. We're talking about our kids. We're getting to know each other. I'm like, okay, I might like this human being. And then we go our separate ways. And I get a text message, not 20 minutes later. Oh, I had such a great time. By the way, I sell Airbon, and I would love for you to come to my next party. I'm going to have just a few people that are, I'm like, fuck. Okay. So I immediately was super upfront about it. I'm like, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. I have, and at the time I use Roden Fields. I've used Roden Fields for last 5 years because we have a friend that sells it. She doesn't pressure us. I really like the product, whatever. So I was like, no, I'm really not interested. She's like, oh, we have these fizzy drinks for energy. I'm like, no, I'm a hyper ADHD. I'm good. I'm good in that department. I'm good. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, no. And so it was fine. And a couple days go by, and she sends me this link to her page. And I'm like, I'm really I don't want to be. And I legit said to her, I'm like, I don't want to be nasty, but I really don't want you to continue to send me these types of things. I'm just not interested. I'm just trying to be very upfront. So needless to say, she did it 20 more times. I literally avoided her like the fucking plague every time she walked into the school building. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, please don't make eye contact. So yeah, that was my super fun experience with an Arbonne MLM. I don't like them. And I don't know if it's just where I live, but they all look the same. She would post pictures of their parties. And I'm like, are these Stepford women? Why do they all look the exact same? Do you guys go to the same cosmetologist or what's going on? So yeah, it was awful. That was mine. Next.
I'm really surprised, Jess, that you didn't get pulled into Beachbody because you're so into running and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure you've had
My
experiences with.
first workouts when I got in was Beachbody. And I bought them all bootlegged off fucking eBay because I refused to into their bullshit. So I literally bought all their DVDs on freaking eBay back in the early 2000s. And I was like, no, we're good. And I remember like, I have a friend and she's like, oh, I do Beachbody. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. I don't need their shakes or their freaking, no. But yeah.
So I used to work for all of the content that I do on Peloton. I actually used to work for SoulCycle.
All right.
And this was before they funded Trump and all of that stuff, when they were like in the gay pride parade and, all that fun stuff. And of course, if you're trying to make a living as a somebody in the fitness industry, you have to have side hustles. Like there isn't any way around it. Like, you don't get health insurance, you don't get anything. Like, so I was already kind of set up to be a target, I think, for an MLM. And I also drove for Uber because this was when I was in the Bay Area, and it was when Uber was first starting, and it was just kind of like, I didn't have kids. Like, it was just a thing to do to make money. And I would often get into San Francisco, driving people around. So I would see lots of tourists. And I picked up this lady who was actually from the UK. And I think this is why it didn't set off alarm bells for me, because it was a company that I hadn't ever heard of. And she was like, she saw my little Iron Man sticker on my car, and she's like, do you do triathlons? And I said, yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, it was a long ride. It was like, I think I took them up to the North Bay, and we were talking about racing, and she was like, yeah, me and my boyfriend here, and she was traveling with her boyfriend. We work for a supplement company, and it's just so cool. Like, my husband or my boyfriend gets to do all these races all over the place, and it's so great. We're entrepreneurs, and it's just like wonderful, and it's great, and blah 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 blah. I was like, oh cool. I was like, well, and I would carry around the little SoulCycle free class cards to give to people. Like, if they showed any interest, I would just give it to them, and they would come and take a free class. And I was like, hey, like, just, if you guys are into exercising, like, you should definitely come and check us out. So they came the next day when I was working, and and that was when the target totally turned on for me. They were like, oh my gosh, we love what you do here. Like, you would totally fit in with our company. And like, they did the whole thing where they didn't tell me what company it was, and like all this crazy stuff. And sorry, my son, I don't know if you guys can hear, my son is like making plans to like break down the store.
Now.
I apologize if you hear him squealing, but anyways, I hope my husband is watching and can come grab him. So she like, we exchanged numbers, and she totally laid it on me, and she's like, listen, she's like, check out my YouTube page, like, see if it's something that you'd be into. And she had this YouTube that was like really weird. It was like her just on vacation everywhere, talking about how wonderful her life was. And
Jesus.
And she was like super high up in this MLM. It was called Forever Living. Have you heard of Forever Living?
I've heard of
Kathy?
it.
Yeah.
Look at her face.
So cheesy.
Frog spawn.
Yeah. And
sorry everyone that
like,
does Forever Living.
She was like number one, distributor for Forever Living. So she was actually making money. And she like she bought a vacation home somewhere in Africa or like Spain maybe, where she would just she would just like take all of her downline and like they would all just like spam post pictures of how wonderful their life was while they were on vacation at
They're
her
probably
house.
divorced now.
Yeah, I don't think they're together. And I was like, I guess like it seems cool. Like I don't know what you're talking about, but like if you're gonna give me money, like fine, like whatever. You can hire me. And she was like, okay, I have a present for you. And I said, okay. And she sent me one of the like business in a box, and she literally like signed me up for her to be in her downline without explaining to me like what it was. And like she got me like all the way signed up for it. And like it was a really terrible experience. And I lasted like a week. I was like, nope, I am not doing this. Like, this is not my jam. Like, I don't know what you got going on here, lady, but like, and I didn't even know what an MLM was at that point. And then like a couple of years later, I got targeted again it was like typical, like, oh, you just got, or no, it was like, we were trying to get pregnant at that point. And she was like, if you guys are going to have a baby, you should definitely join, the Beachbody, and you can work from home and all of that spiel. But that we'll talk about it later. But so I got suckered in twice, but I guess the first time you can't really say it was suckered in because I didn't have a choice.
Jesus.
That one might not count.
So that's my story. Allie, do you want to go next?
Oh yeah, it's embarrassing. So I was in 2 multi-level marketing companies, and I willingly signed up for these. And willingly, just like, okay, cool. Nobody approached me. I found them and said, yeah, I want to do that. My son was very little at the time, and I was doing all these things online, like you can stay home with your son or your kids, whatever. I was like, that's not great. I have a son. So the first one was Origami Owl, and I signed up for it. Origami Owl. What was that?
Origami Owl.
Yeah, it's the living lockets, with the little charms. Yeah. I don't know if they're doing that great right now. And the second was Perfectly Taught, like skincare, whatever, garbage. When the predatory started, it was once I was already signed up and in the group, that's when the sisterhood thing comes in. Like, look at all these friends you have now. Look at what you can do, these trips you can go on. And it just escalates from there. In reality, the sisterhood didn't exist. The money didn't exist unless I was my own job, which I found impossible. And with both of them, theoretical experience. The only thing I was encouraged to do was sign people up and buy stock, basically. Which I didn't have the money. That's my cat, sorry. Have the money to do, so I never bought a lot of stock, luckily. But it was never going to be for me. I was never going to be able to live off of that income. And but my personal experiences, while I was in them, I thought I was having fun, and I didn't realize till after I left, because I wasn't making money, why I wasn't making money, why this wasn't sitting right with me, and I just remember saying in those companies, this is nothing like It Works. This is nothing like those were really big where I lived, and they're just a mess. Everybody knows. I had been targeted by those so many times, and I was like, well, these are nothing like that. This is great, fun, and it turns out they're exactly like that. But I didn't know until after I was involved and left. So, yeah, but then in June 2020, a lot of people got bored. I downloaded TikTok with the intention of never making a video, ever. I started making a few, and I duetted this video of a woman showing her nose products. And she was throwing Clorox in the trash and other chemicals in the trash. And she was saying, no, you don't need this, you just need this, you know, this magic rack. And I duetted it, and I called it a pyramid and it went viral. Gained about 10,000 followers from, and it's just gone up from there, making not really anti-MLM content, others too, but I do many deep dives on these on request. I have about almost 42,000 followers now that want to hear me talk about them. So yeah, story is I willingly.
Well, everyone needs to go check out her TikTok. It's really great. If you're into mom content, like a lot of my followers are, it's definitely a good little account to follow, and not little. It's not little. I'm sorry for calling you little. So Cassie, why don't you tell us your story?
Well, I started doing direct sales many years ago, before I had my children, and my daughter, who will be home soon from the pub, is 18 now. And I worked with a company that was only in Britain. It was called Virgin V, and I didn't know about MLMs then, really. It was owned by Richard Branson. It was makeup, it was skincare, and I loved it. I went out and did parties. I took my bag of makeup and skincare. Now, I had worked in retail skincare and makeup for years. So it was an extension of what I'd done before I got married, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I met people, I made friends, and I made money because I was a makeup artist and I could sell makeup. I made money because I can sell, and I don't sell things if I don't like it, and I'm brutally honest with people. I think it's probably my personality. I'm not someone that can bullshit, and that's the bottom line. If somebody says, "What's the mascara?" Like when I worked for them, people, you know, were like, "What's mascara?" And I was like, "I don't like it, and I won't. You know, I'm not going to recommend it because I don't like it." And I think that's how I've always carried on throughout my business. Unfortunately, that business eventually, Richard Branson sold it, and then things just went downhill. And I flip-flopped between a lot of companies, and a lot. And I found the things that I agree with completely with all of you. I will never, till the day I die, understand why people will not mention the name of the company they work for. I don't know whose advice that ever was, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous. If you can't be proud of the company that you work for and sell, then why on earth are you working for them? I don't understand that. I very much am the kind of person, like, if I would rather be upfront and say, this is what I do. Would you be interested in hearing about it? If they say no, let's go, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Fancy a drink, and go and have a cup of tea. I'm not about the ulterior motives, because my mother has always said, my face shows every emotion, and I can't be false, because I'd just be like, and that's who I am. Eventually I started with a couple of companies that went under really quickly, and I was really jaded. And I was like, I'm never doing it again. I'm never doing another MLM again, ever, never. And then my auntie, who lives back home in Canada, sorry, she's here. I'm on a podcast. Yeah. Anyway, but she's
been at the bar.
Yeah. My auntie, who's back home in Canada, has a thyroid condition like I do, and she was losing her hair, and she started using this product, and it was making her hair grow back. And I was in the same position, between hormones, menopause, thyroid. My hair was going to crap. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And at great expense, we sent it over to we sent it to my sister back home, and then she brought it to New York, and then I brought it from, we were visiting in New York, and we flew back home, and I used it, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I thought it was shit. I was like, oh, well, I'm so glad I spent a load of money on that because I don't like it at all. And then it just so happened that the Monat was launching in the UK, and the lady that was the CEO of Virgin, who I'd worked with for 12 years before. And so I sat and watched, and I was seeing people that I'd worked with for years in Virgin joining, and then I was seeing all these people with having amazing results with the hair, and I still had crap hair at that point. So I sat and watched for about 6 months, and then I was like, oh, I'll try them again. Tried completely different product, loved it. And then all of a sudden, if I could show you my before and afters, I had thinning hair, it was breaking, it was awful. And it made my hair grow, and it made it long and shiny and silky like a horse's tail. So I loved it. And when the pandemic hit, my husband's a contractor and he works abroad. And then he's been working in the Middle East for the last 2.5 years. I was at home by myself. My makeup and hair makeup business, I do hair and makeup for weddings, just went down the shitter. Obviously, we couldn't leave the house. I had no income coming in personally other than money. And my kids were half the time at their dad's, and I was at home by myself. And it was awful. I still have, still issues from that. I think the loneliness and everything. And I can say this from the bottom of my heart, if I hadn't had money, and if I hadn't had my daily phone calls, we do Zoom calls daily with my team and my friends, I don't know what I would have done with myself, because I didn't have anything else. I couldn't go out to the gym. I didn't have any family around me. My husband was in a different time zone in the Middle East. My kids, weren't home half the time. And it was the only thing that I had. And it was, I believe in the products. I know they work. I love the fact that it kept money coming into my home when I wasn't able to do anything else. And I love the fact that it pushes me to be a better person, because I am someone, I'm a personal, people pleaser and a perfectionist. And it forces me, like this today, anxiety through the roof. It's forcing me to do things that I probably wouldn't normally do. But at the same time, everything that people say about MLMs, most of them, 99, well, no, probably about 90%, I absolutely agree with. When you said, like, when people have ulterior motives, why do that? Why walk into a conversation with someone and just be upfront? I don't know if any of you guys follow Colleen Nichols. She's in Rodan and Field, and she says, don't be weird. And that's what it's like. Don't go in and make it awkward. Just be upfront and don't make it weird.
Yeah.
The thing that the whole like toxic positivity makes my teeth itch. When you said about people looking the same, drives me bonkers.
It really did.
It really, and if I see another hat, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I hate them. I really, really hate them. And like I
Wait, what hats? Wait, what are you talking about?
These hats that they all wear. They all wear these blooming felt laying like fat hats.
Oh, the sun hats that.
No, like
I'm always on vacation because I work for an MLM and I make lots of money.
Just like,
oh my gosh.
Sorry, and I'm probably really upsetting a lot of people right now. I'm really sorry. I don't mean it personally, but I really don't like that. Because it's just, they all look like carbon copies, and I don't like that. Again, it's I don't like for me, one of the things that I love is meeting new people, and people that look different to me, and people that speak differently to me, and people that have different customs. That to me is what's exciting. If I'm going to do a job that's going to take me outside of the world and open up opportunities, it should be opportunities that teach me about new things, rather than me trying to take myself and make everybody look like me and everybody do the same thing as me. And so I mean, when Jessica asked me, I was like, oh, I don't know, because my personal view is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's
Yeah.
a lot of, I believe in the industry, but a lot of it, don't be weird, don't do crappy things, don't be shitty to people.
Yes.
So, I think, so that's kind of like what my aim is. I want to make it better, because it can be, if you have the correct training and someone takes you and says, don't be weird, don't word vomit into people's inboxes with these ridiculous spam messages, build genuine relationships. And this is what so many people are missing. And I think, and a lot of companies teach people these really bad ways. And if someone's crappy in MLM, and then we all are. So this is why, like, my aim is to elevate it so that these people don't have these experiences and then think, oh, well, they're all shit, because they're not. And there is, there's companies that need to do a lot of work. There's some that are trying. There's some that, I see them and I just go, oh, Lordy, don't get me started. And then there's some that I think, it's finding your tribe, and it's finding, oh God, sorry, that was a bit Rachel Hollis. Sorry.
No. She's the worst.
But it is about finding, like, making it diverse and making it better. I'm a bit passionate about it.
Well, yeah, we're glad to hear that. Honestly, I am. And you bring up a lot of good points. It's so frustrating to see, and it's like almost the same as, well, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of Trumpers who are like, it's like they just need the taglines. They need the Rachel Hollis. They need the Trump. They need they need people to just feed them things to say. And it's almost like they're like, okay, well, I look like this, so I fit the bill. Like, what do I say? It's and I think that's what's problematic about a lot of things, not just MLMs. What would you say that you're like, how is your approach different? Like, you're saying that you are different, and I do believe you. I do. But like, how do you make a living if you're not? Because it seems like with all of the stigma attached to it, and you're trying to change the carbon copy. How are you doing that and actually getting sales? I mean,
the way I do things is, like, rather than like, I show my personal story, and I show my own personal before and afters, and mm-hmm. my personal customers. So this is my friend Penny. Her hair was fried, and look at her beautiful shiny bouncy curls now. It takes mm-hmm. time. It's not overnight. I'm a hairdresser. If someone shows me a picture and then like 2 weeks later, the hair's amazing, I'm like, no, it's not. That doesn't happen. Hair has to grow. Mm-hmm. You can make it look better by styling, but it's not going to grow this long in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's not, and I try, and I would like people to emulate kind of how I work. Like, don't be like me. That sounds really egotistical. But I don't mean that. I just mean to see that there's different ways to do things. Right. I do kind of, I am one of these people that really hates people saying things about MLMs, because people automatically will say, oh, it's a pyramid. Oh, it's this, it's that, before they actually find out the information. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of things, people will just say things that they've heard other people say, rather than finding out the information for themselves, and they just repeat things, like anything in life. If it's like hate, when people hate people, they hear it because their parents have said things. And people that hate MLMs will hang around other people that hate MLMs and say the same things, rather than finding and saying, actually, yeah, okay, it's not a pyramid. There is some that are, and there is definitely companies out there that promote you buying your own stock. And, you know, and there, I'm not going to say any names, but there's definitely some that I'm like, no, don't get involved in the way that people are paid. You know, there is some, and I know that they're just not crappy, but it's like anything, you know, there's different companies that are shitty to work for, isn't there? So I think people need to do due diligence before they join any company. And they need to understand that it's not easy, that it's hard work, and you're going to be having people be really negative to you sometimes. But if you are upfront and you're honest and you're transparent, I think, about things, like I'm very much, you're not going to be a millionaire within a year. Some people are, not likely. But I know for myself, working very much part-time, that when I sat down and did my taxes, I earned a half decent part-time wage for part-time work. And for me, that was great. And for a lot of people, the thing with MLMs, I think, is that so many people are like, you've got to go in and you've got to get your card and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I'm like, all I want is a couple of £100 extra a month, or a couple $100. You know, for a lot of people, an extra £400 or $400 a month would be amazing for their family. And I think this is kind of this part that's missing, that they just, it's automatically, if you're not someone that's going for the car and you're not someone that wants to be on every trip, they can get lost in the cracks. And they're not everybody is important. And those people that just want to make the extra bit of money are, it's like owning hairdressers. You know, the ladies that come in every week and have their blow dry, they're your bread and butter. So you work with every single person, not just the person that comes in for a cut style and it's $120. It's the little lady who comes in £15 a week. And that's the way I think you need to treat it. You need to understand that every single person within your business is important, and treat everybody with respect, and everybody deserves the kind of your attention. Obviously, if someone comes into your team and is like a superstar, you're probably going to end up spending more time with them because they are going to need more training and things. But that doesn't mean that the person that's not doing the big things isn't important.
Allie, do you feel like that stigma can be changed?
I think that I don't really. I think as a whole, the stigma can be changed. I think that case basis, sure. You know, like if, you know, like let's just say Mary Kay has a rap in your hometown. This distributor's been here since the 80s, you know, and a new person joins Mary Kay and they do things differently than people in that environment feel differently about Mary Kay. You know what I mean? But I think on a whole level, because MLMs have been around forever, you know, we start with Amway, the original MLM, you know, and we get on and we get these things that are often pretty nostalgic, but they still have overall a pretty bad stigma. And maybe that's wrong and maybe that's right. You know what I mean? There's two sides to every story, but I don't think that the entirety of the industry is the problem. It's never the people who sell it. I mean, they might have behaviors, but they're not bad people. The industry, I think, is changing. You do have these companies, you know, are operating under these loopholes where they're giving you an exchange of a price. Nobody's making any money. You know, I think this just died. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. They're not, I just don't. I think that they've just gotten too bad of a rep, and maybe that's accurate. Maybe they should have, and maybe they shouldn't have. And that's an individual opinion, you know. I don't know. Personally, I don't think so. No.
So, you know, do you feel, Cassie, how does that make you feel? Just hearing that, like, how do you feel? Do you feel like stigma can change?
I think it will take a long time, and I think it will take a lot of work, and I think it's something that everybody, like every company, needs to get on board with, because I know that there's people out there that are working really, really hard to change the stigma and are trying to make it, you know, a more ethical way to work. Not that it's ethical, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to take time, and I think you know, if there's a lot of people that aren't afraid to raise their voices and just say, look, there's different ways to do this, and there's and that's why I think, you know, even though the anxiety was real for me, I enjoy doing this because I want people to see that we're not all Huns. I know that we're called Hun bots, and that we're not all don't have the same hair, and we're not all white Christians. I am white. But there is other people out there that do this and look differently. And I know that I am purposely trying to bring people into my team that look differently to me, so that when people see my team, they can see that it's diverse and that it includes everybody, and that you're not just someone from a church.
Church lady.
It's funny you brought up Amway. I forgot about this. When I was probably like 7, my parents were in Amway. And I remember going to a group party and like sitting there with the other kids while the parents just talked about how they can be so rich if they just sign on with them and become part of it. And it was legit a pyramid scheme back then.
Yeah.
But I just remember my young parents like, let's do this. Let's be rich. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, Amway is like, I mean, they're one of the
original.
worst, right? No, actually, the original was, and I just learned this the other day. It was like way before Amway. I believe it. I need to do a quick Google search. I should have done it before this, but I think it was a Black woman hairdresser who started a hair care company, and it was not about like it had very humble and honest beginning.
Nutrilite.
I know that I
don't think
watched
so.
1940s Great Depression. The oldest.
No, it was before that.
It was before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I watched it. What's her name was in it? It was an incredible story.
Yeah,
she was
Madam. Oh, yeah. Who was Madam C.J. Walker, the first Black woman millionaire in America. She made her fortune thanks to a homemade line of hair care products for Black women. Her parents were enslaved. She was inspired to create hair care products after experience with hair loss, which led to the creation of the Walker system of hair care. A talented entrepreneur with a knack for self-promotion, Walker built a business empire, at first selling products directly to Black women, then employing beauty culturalists to hand sell her wares. So it was like more of a direct sales thing, obviously.
Door to door.
Like Avon kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And it was more about selling than it was about the downline. And I think that's where it gets to be a problem, where it's like, when you're making the majority of your money based on your downline and like not actually selling the product and like believing in like, the product just becomes the legality that takes away the actual pyramid scheme of it all.
Yeah.
But yes, if anybody has, I think it is a documentary. Is it on the History Channel? Maybe we'll figure it out. But it's a wonderful watch. And I definitely.
So Cassie, I'm just curious, do you think the stigma that we just talked about, do you think it impacts your profits? Do you think it impacts your ability to engage with people in the public, both as people to bring into your team as well as clients? Do you feel like that stigma has an impact, especially since you're out of?
Of course it has an impact, because there is going to be people that genuinely, if they would get over the fact that it is a multi-level marketing company, that they would like the products, but they won't try them because it's an MLM.
Mhm.
And there's people, and the thing that there's a person behind every business. And I really honestly believe that most people do not join an MLM to be an asshole. There is like, obviously always assholes everywhere. But and I think when I see people just automatically slamming that gate down in someone's face, they don't remember that there's an actual human being on the other side of it. And even if you don't like something, you don't have to be an asshole about it.
Right.
And that, I think, is, and I just think that's life. That's, if I don't like Trump, but I'm not going to go around and shout at people and call them names because
I will.
Yeah, I will.
You're on a podcast with some women that will, but I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and that's
gonna
great.
leave
I'm
that
glad
alone.
that there is people that will do that, because I'm actually in the UK, so it would look kind of stupid if I did anyway.
Did you not hear me at the beginning say that I totally debated an Australian conservative who loves Trump with all of her being? Okay,
Why?
just
Sorry.
I know. Well,
I think that's the hardest thing, is like, so many people don't realize that it takes a lot of guts for somebody to decide to join a business for whatever reason. They have an honest heart when they do it, most people. And then the first thing that they come up against is a family member or a close friend just slam it down and go, it's an MLM. And you're crushing someone's dreams.
yeah.
Because for whatever reason, they've decided that this is something that might be for them. And that's why the majority of people say that MLMs fail, because that person that has just had that gate slammed down on them is not a strong enough person to go, actually, this is going to work for me, and I'm going to make it work, and I can be strong enough to get past this. They go, you know what? MLMs are shit, because they've had someone that they care about slam a door in their face. And then they just like, that's it. And then they then start this whole narrative that they're shit because it didn't work for them. So I always say, when I say to people, you've got to be the kind of individual that if someone says no to you, that you're not going to crumble, because you're going to have a lot of people say no to you. But it's like, but then it's like being an actor, or you're going to have to be a certain kind of individual. Not everyone is going to be an actor. Not everyone is going to succeed in an MLM, because not everyone has that kind of personality that when someone says no to them, can go, that's fine, crack on and go to the next person.
Yeah.
And
it's so like
a telemarketer.
Yeah.
It seems like, I've done that, and
I've done that too. It's a hard job.
And people are like effing and blinding down the phone at you, and you're like, all I'm trying to do is my job.
Yeah. I think in the age of the internet, people really forget that there is a person attached to that piece of your computer screen. And I think people need to be, fine, we can go and yell at crazy conspiracy theorists, but at the end of the day, we're only going after people who want to go and attack the Capitol. This is not, someone who's just trying to make a living at home. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. What do you? It seems like across the board, like every single MLM, when you look at the income statements, there is like what is it about the system that there's like less than 1% of every distributor is making even a living wage, and literally everyone else, and it's different with every company, but it seems like everyone else is making less than like $10,000 a year. Whereas like 95% is making zero. Like, what do you think about is different about?
I think that's a really fair comment. But the thing that people have to remember is that there's people that join to steal the kits, and that's perfectly fine. And there's businesses like Unique that actually, and Body Shop, I know, that actually market the fact that you can be a kitnapper. So you join up just for the kit, and that's it. So that person goes into the income disclosure. Then you've got the person that joins up. They've never done anything like this before. They are, you know, they're a new mom. Their confidence is perhaps low. First person slams the door in their face and they go, no way, this is not for me. That person's included into the income disclosure.
Right.
Then you've got people that they try for a month or so. It's a lot harder than they realized. And then they give up because they've been told, for whatever reason, maybe, that it's easy and that all they have to do is work from their phone while on a beach, wearing a beach hat, and they'll make millions.
Wearing that beach hat.
Wearing that beach hat. Doesn't happen. You've got to be consistent. You have got to be, you've got to be intentional. You've got to have a purpose. You have to treat it like a job. At the end of the day, if you want it to get paid like a job, you have to treat it like a job.
Right.
If you treat it like a part-time job, you're going to get paid a part-time wage. So that person, like me last year, that was barely making it through, hanging on by the skin of my teeth mentally, I got a part-time and a good part-time wage, but I wasn't working it full-time. I was doing it within my mental capacity, but it still was what I needed to keep me going on a daily basis. I'm like yourself, Jess. I'm undiagnosed, but I'm 100% convinced I have ADHD. I think it has been since I've been starting to go through all this menopause shizzle. It's
Can't
like
wait.
the hormones is like, what? My synapses are not firing. And I think it's just gone from like bad to worse. So it's hard. And when you, with all the best will and intention, sometimes what you want to do and what your brain allows you to do is very different. So people that earn £100 a month or £200 a month, they're included in income disclosure as well. So you've got all these people. It's like a business, though. You're going to only have one CEO who's earning the millions, and you're going to have the minions in the post office down in the basement earning a shit basic wage, and then you're going to have the other people in between. And that's the thing, the people that workforce that make up that are only earning a couple of £100. So that's why you've got this huge disparity, I believe. And that all has to be taken into consideration. But what I would say is, if you want a part, is that mine that's just gone?
We can hear you.
My ear?
No, you're good.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. If you want to, again, it's all down to being authentic. And being honest with people. If you want to make a full-time wage, it takes a lot of work, and you've got to be determined. You've got to have balls of steel, really, because you get people kicking you all the time. I mean, Sarah Hill, who's within our business, she put up a post the other day about some of the messages that people send her, and it's absolutely disgusting. The thing that people think it's okay to say. I know that that's the internet. But why, just because someone is successful, do people think it's okay to tell them that they look like a melted potato? I mean, it's just,
I would
disgusting.
welcome a melted potato insult right now, over like the death threats that I get. So, you know, just saying, I'm like, if anybody on my TikTok's like, you can call me a melted potato any day. Just stop with the other shit.
Tell me about
Allie, same question. Why do you think that this business model kind of lends itself to that huge discrepancy?
I think that the business model of multi-level marketing is what they call a closed market, because your market is only as big as you can make it. You know what I mean? So if I'm joining an MLM and I somehow get, 5 people to sign up underneath of me, those 5 people are then going to have 10 people, 5 to 10 people each to make it work. But eventually, people aren't going to be able to recruit more people.
Right.
That's why it's a closed market. And that's why you have those discrepancies in income, because not all of those people are going to be successful, and not everybody is successful in any business. So yes, that's very true. I mean, not everybody is cut out for starting an Etsy shop. You know what I mean? There's failure in everything. Not failure, but there's challenges with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you are signing people up, because that is primarily, we know that is primarily how people in MLMs make their money. It's typically not from product sales.
Mm-hmm.
So the people at the very top of the structure, you know, that 0.1%, 0.01% representative, those two people at the top of the company are making all the money, and then the backs of everybody else, they're not making anything because it's a closed market.
Yeah.
You know, and your success is only as big as your downline. We know that. The distributors are the customers and vice versa. There are other customers, yeah, obviously, but the distributors a lot of times are the customers themselves.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If people if you love the product and you're buying it for yourself, yeah. I never advocate that people buy stock ever. Right. If you can't get to a rank honestly, yeah, then you shouldn't be doing it. I don't, right. That's my biggest bugbear.
I know
is. And I think there has to be within a business, any successful business, A, you have to love the product, and B, there has to be a product.
Well, yeah, or else it is illegal. It is legal, yeah, and it is.
And there is some out there,
right?
And this is where I'm always within my team, always one of the top sales, because I believe in the products and I love them and I use them and I show them and I talk about them. Sure. I think that there has to be that kind of, you have got to get it right, where you build a team and you build sales as well. Because if you don't teach people how to sell things, then they can't do anything, because not everyone mm-hmm. wants to build a team. And if you don't teach people how to sell, then you've got nothing, because if they don't want to build a team, then they've got to sell. There's only two ways to make the money. Right. So you've got to do one or the other, or do both.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how Monat is structured, but the other problematic piece of that is that while they are keeping it within the legality of having a product to sell, unless you have a downline, unless you have a certain number of people below you, you're that. So if you sign up and it's just you and you're just planning on making money from selling these products, and your company has the structure where, if you have 5 people underneath you, you make 5%. If you have 10 people underneath you, you make 10%. That kind of sets people up for failure. And it's that's where the problem is for me. It's why can't, I think we need actual governmental guidelines put into place that say everyone gets the same amount of percentage of what you sell. It doesn't matter if you have 20 people underneath you or one, but unfortunately, I'm looking at you, Betsy DeVos, there are people in the government who have made money, starting and running MLMs, that, those, it's just never going to change, because it's so ingrained within our government, at least over here. I don't know if it is over there.
Yeah.
Not so much here, but I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There was a company I was involved with.
Yeah.
I'm curious, since you were involved with quite a few, is there any, you don't have to tell me the company, but was there any really shady, moments where you were this is not just that you didn't like the product, but you know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes. Cause I feel I'm trying to think of what, I know LuLaRoe had a big, issue, and look at her face. Allie's yes, LuLaRoe. But I know that they had this big scandal about just these poor women were just getting dropped all this merch that they just had tons of merchandise. They weren't selling it. They had to buy it. They had to buy a certain amount of stock because it was a requirement. So I'm just curious, I just feel these are kind of what Jessica dives into on Facebook, like the mom groups. Like I feel like there's some shit going on behind closed doors that you're just like, ooh, like did you ever experience anything like that with one of your MLMs passing through?
Yeah. I was with, there's a couple. There was one that I was with, and it was completely British, and it grew really quickly within the UK. And they were trying to market a product that was the same as one we used to sell when I was with Virgin Bee. Now, the One Step Face Base used to sell like one every 2 seconds in the UK. And then, so when that went under, everybody was missing One Step Face Base because it was a great foundation. So this new company that I was working with was like, oh, we've got One Step Face Base. We've got it. And I'm a makeup artist. I've got 30 odd years experience of working with makeup and on counters. And when I opened this product, it smelled like, I'm trying to think, like the CoverGirl pink pressed powder that smells like old ladies. I was like, that is not One Step Face Base. That is something you have bought from China. And it was disgusting. And don't try and tell me that I should be marketing this to people because it was shit. And that bugged me that people would try and that they were trying to get us to sell a product that was clearly inferior. And that was really infuriating. That it went down very quickly after. I was with another one, and I won't say names, but the owner of the company had left a very big makeup company, and he started up another makeup company, and then got sued by the big company that he left, taking everybody with him. Including me. And that was when I was like jaded and completely, I was like, no, not doing this ever again, because when you take the time to build a team, you're selling the products, and all of a sudden it's like that taken away from you. I mean, I suppose that's like anybody does with any business, and it closes down and you just get pissed off because there was nothing. But I was like, and he's
crazy. It's crazy. You see so often too, not so often, but every time an MLM shuts down, which I mean, we've seen quite a few in the past few years here, fairly large MLMs just go under. And I guess that's part of the thing that's scary for me too, and I feel sad for some people is, eventually, if that happens, everything is gone. You have no income whatsoever, and a lot, and I'm not saying that this is correct or right, but a lot of other places, if I'm with a company, an MLM company for 10 years, and all of a sudden it goes under, and I put that on my job applications that I worked for, I don't know, Avon for 10 years, they don't take that seriously at all. And that's not to say that they didn't work hard. That's not to say that they didn't do some things right, maybe, but other business models like traditional retail or whatever aren't looking at this business model as a legitimate form of work. So once it goes under, what do you have? I feel bad about that. It's not right, because they're telling people like, this is, you can make your career out of this. This is a job. This is, whatever. You can live your dreams. Cool. I hope you do live your dreams. But at the end of the day, is the workforce going to see this as job experience, or are they going to see this as a hobby? What do you have to show when you leave, or when it gets shut down, or whatever happens? Your team starts dropping like flies, your income goes down. I mean, you see it time and time again. Not the good girl on YouTube. She's phenomenal. She left a MLM at the very top. She was at the tip top of like 3 companies, and they did her really dirty after she left. She had like nothing to show from them. She's amazing. Oh wow. I mean, nothing to show from them except for just non-disclosures and all kinds of stuff they were trying to slap. Yeah. Those are great. It's just scary.
Yeah, and they also they market it as a willable. Like one of the things that the lady who signed me up without my permission told me was that it was a willable source of income. So eventually, if I had kids, that I could pass it on down to them. And it's like,
that was
it's like that, like, it's like, okay, yeah, Amway. I mean, you know, with Amway, you get into the culty stuff that
Oh, it
it's
was
like,
very cool.
you know,
Yeah.
people give their whole life savings to Amway.
Here, I had my first baby.
Yeah, and it's like it's so like I don't even know what the word is for it. On one hand, they're saying it's a willable income, and then on the next, you know, they're saying that people are just like getting screwed over left and right.
Don't have anything.
So, yeah.
So I think personally, something that needs to be done with most MLMs is people. Can you guys still? Is that my ear pod that just died?
No,
Anyway,
we hear
can
you.
you still hear me? Yep. I think it might be mine. Anyway, that they need to teach people finance because they need to be able to understand that at any one time that it could end.
Yeah.
And so if you're making money, how to invest, you need to learn how to invest. You need how to learn to manage your money. I do think that that's something that needs to be looked at, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, of course, and for taxes, because it's like, you know, you're seeing this money come in, you're looking at what you've made, and then you get screwed over at the end of the year. And like, I don't think that a lot of women understand that, and that definitely should be part of it.
I know that like when you join over here, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but over here you get sent like a self-employed pack from the government and how to register as self-employed and how to make sure that you're registered.
Right.
And this is the kind of thing I think that needs to happen so that women need to understand. Women, it's not just women that do MLM, excuse me. Anybody that does them needs to understand that at the end of the day, it's a business and you have got to treat it like a business. So you've got to pay taxes. You need to learn how to do and invest and take care of your money. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
I think primarily too, they lump MLM people, distributors, and I think they are technically independent contractors, which is why you have to pay taxes at the end of the year because they're not taken out immediately.
Correct.
I have an Etsy shop and it's pretty much the same thing. I'm also an independent contractor, so that's not a problem, you know, but I agree. They definitely need to let people know, hey, you're going to be paying taxes at the end of the year.
Right.
You need to put some of this behind. But I was also going to say, if you're one of those people at the very top here, somehow who's making all this money, you need to learn how to invest that. So if it does go away, you've got properties, you've got another source of money, or you put this away somewhere. Like, God forbid, millions of dollars, and then it's gone. Yeah. They don't tell you those things.
So, Allie, what kind of? I mean, you said that you made your TikTok just out of the blue one day, but I know after that you kind of continued the anti-MLM content. What motivated you to do that?
Okay, so I finally found people who wanted to listen to me talk about it all the time. My husband was sick of it. My friends were sick of it. I mean, my Facebook friends were probably like, bitch, like I couldn't. It's fascinating to me, really. It really is a rabbit hole. I mean, when you look at the beginning of this and all of it, the whole industry, it's very fascinating to me. And so when I found a demographic of people that really or maybe they didn't, maybe they were letting you talk. Is that me?
Oh, it is.
Oh, I think it's the echo. Because you got. Okay, well, I'll turn.
I'm not hearing anything.
I don't like that noise.
See if it's better. I've got everyone muted, so see if you can talk, and maybe I'll go away.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah. But anyway, when I found people that wanted to listen to me, talk about MLMs, I just kind of ran with it because I always felt like it was information I needed to share with people, but nobody really was picking up what I was laying down for them. They were like, yeah, I mean, it sucks that sometimes I just had a baby and somebody crawled in my inbox. Like, that sucks, but like, I don't know why you care so much. And I care so much because I don't like to see people lose money. I don't like to see people get sold, you know, a dream. You get sold a dream. You get sold, you know, this, a lot of times it's this fallacy by those cookie cutter people we were talking about who are constantly on vacation on the beach and things like that. But that's what a lot of these companies are telling their distributors to do. You never say anything negative. That toxic positivity we were talking about a little bit earlier is so toxic. And I don't think people really understand how detrimental that is to psyche of the people that maybe aren't doing so well in a multi-level marketing company. If you're feeding them nothing but be positive, be positive, be positive. Even if you're failing at this, you never give the illusion that you are. Show them how good your life is. That there's a woman on TikTok who did that LuLaRoe documentary, the Vice one. She's in the anti-MLM community on TikTok. Berta Like Whoa. She, I think it was her in that documentary, was talking about how they told her to buy something really, really expensive with her check and show it off. Like, you earned this money. It might have been the other woman talking, but one of them in that documentary. Go buy, I think it was a Louis Vuitton. Go buy this and then post it and say, this is because of LuLaRoe. But even if you aren't making the money, they're saying to do that. So I was just really excited that people wanted to listen to me talk about these predatory things. I wanted people to be like, oh, wow, I almost did that. I'm glad I didn't. And part of me feels bad sometimes because, yeah, people do need to make their own choices. And I'm not here to be like, oh, my gosh, you're an idiot. Like, I would never in a million years. It is never an issue of the distributors for me. And even the high up people in an MLM, they're never the problem majority of the time for me. Personally, they're humans, like we were talking about. They're humans. And behind that screen, I'm never going to be an asshole to someone just because I really don't agree with your job. Doesn't mean that I don't like you as a person. So people call me a bully. I mean, all this stuff. I don't care, to be honest. I just spread the info. That's all. And
Yeah.
it's funny, honestly, sometimes some of these stories that you hear, they're just so funny.
Yeah. I mean, you hear about like the LuLaRoe, Deanna, I think her name was, like the CEO of the company, where she would like take all of her high ups on a trip to Mexico and then they would all go get like boob jobs and facelifts and nose jobs and like to make them and like buy all of this like fake Louis Vuitton bags and like and they were like required to you know what, Cassie, I think it's you, because when I just unmuted you and it started up again.
Did you take your earbuds out?
Yeah. Put your earbuds back in.
Put them back in.
Like, who is it?
She's hilarious.
Sorry, Kathy.
So, I was gonna say too. It's more for Kathy, but Is Kathy, were you ever on TikTok? Cassie, were you ever on TikTok at any point? Are you on TikTok? You are?
My cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is you. But I was going to say,
Oh my goodness.
I'm so sorry.
Can't hear it. Then it...
Is it connected to your AirPods? Check the mic, make sure they're connected to your AirPods real quick in your cam and mic settings. On the bottom. Should be at the bottom, a little setting, cam mic.
Middle.
I wish we could check their settings for them.
Just do it.
Oh, sorry, everyone.
Is that my act?
Yeah, I think that's better.
It is.
Is that better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
So I was just going to say, do you, and this is a question of ours that we had, but if you think the banning of MLMs on TikTok has influenced you, like, do you feel like if you had that outlet that would help you anyway, or no? You feel like you need to stick to more local social media where you can access people that are like people that
I think
off your platform for business.
It didn't affect me because honestly, all my TikTok is my cats. Really. Some
Okay.
crazy lady.
Well,
I'm
and
here for that.
For those of you who don't know, so TikTok has banned, like I'm not sure exactly what the parameters are. Maybe Allie can elaborate, or Cassie. What are the parameters of that ban?
You cannot use TikTok to promote, sell, or recruit. There's more adjectives there, but those basic things: promote, sell, or recruit. What they list as multi-level marketing, pyramid schemes, and Ponzi schemes. So they lumped them all together and said you can't solicit these companies on this app.
Okay.
Yeah. So going back to that question, Cassie, has it affected any of your downline or your team, or? Yeah.
No, I don't think. I know that there is some people that do extremely well from it, but not within my particular company that I'm aware of. I'm mostly Instagram.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect me because people still can see my
It
account.
seems like the ban would kind of promote that, like, I'm not going to tell you what I do. I'm going to make you ask me kind of mentality where, people are just showing how wonderful their lives are on TikTok and are like, throwing in like, oh, you if you're looking for a job or like whatever, it seems like it would promote that. But on the other side of the coin, like before I joined TikTok, and I told this to Cassie before we went on, I have a really weird guilty pleasure where I like to go into Unique Huns lives and just watch them do their makeup and talk about weird stuff. I never comment. This is like part of my like apparent voyeurism problem. Like it's like at the same level as Parlor, where like I like to go watch Parlor, but I also like to watch the little old lady in Kentucky do her makeup and talk about her husband and her dog. And like she has no idea that I even exist, but I've watched her every single day and I just love her. So like I thought that the only thing I ever saw about TikTok was on these Unique Hun like their Facebook accounts, they would post their TikTok stuff, and I thought that it was just for MLMs up until like probably January of 2020.
Oh gosh. Okay.
The only person I know that has like really uses that I'm aware of, because it's just, I love TikTok, but I'm on Scottish TikTok and I'm on Harry Potter TikTok and I'm on cat.
That's not bad.
No, I know. Whenever something goes a bit weird, I'm like, well, I don't want any negative stuff. Just show me fluffy animals and London, and that's all I like.
How did you ever follow me then?
Why I am fascinated by conservatives. Yes, I'm like,
I mean, it's fascinating.
they're just so adamant and so convinced.
Yeah.
And so
yeah. Well, I think you and Jess need to talk to each other about Simon. Maybe you can do some like recon work with Simon.
Simon Parks. Have you ever heard of Simon Parks?
No. I think it's because I'm actually Canadian. Obviously,
go Google the shit out of that guy and give you
US politics interest me, but because it's it does affect Canada in some way. But I just watch from afar, just going.
It's crazy.
I wish I could watch from afar. I'm in Kentucky.
I know. I would love to be watching from afar. Freaking hate it here. That's my new catchphrase,
isn't it? Like I'm watching it going, like one of these days you guys are going to all be walking around with your red robes on, and
pretty much.
You are correct. You are correct.
So we've kind of Jess and I have been kind of on the fence about whether or not we should talk about this, but I feel like you're a super honest person, Cassie, and I hope that you don't think that I'm calling you out asking you this, but what are your thoughts on the lawsuits that have happened with Monat, and the kind of negative stigma that they have as a company, with regards to their product quality and possible like scalp injury and hair falling out?
I'm very confident. Well, first of all, there's a couple of things to remember. If you look at any large company, especially ones that have grown incredibly large, incredibly fast, like Monat's as a business model, we grew like 120% last year.
Mhm.
And as a hairdresser, I know for a fact that the ingredients can't cause these issues that people are that they're saying. The ingredients just can't make your hair fall out. What a lot of things people don't realize is that there's so many things, stress, which we have all been experiencing, huge measures. Long COVID is causing people to lose their hair.
Oh,
And then I just know it's like these same lawsuits that Monat are experiencing, L'Oreal are experiencing the exact same thing. People are saying the exact same thing. If you look at the actual court cases, we have actually won them all. We have the best trichologist in the world on our board of advisors. And she has said she doesn't work like for Monat. She has been, we gave an independent study we gave the products to her. And she says, these products do not do that to your hair. So I'm confident. I know that they don't. You are always going to get people that are haters, especially if you're doing well. I mean, there's people sitting at McDonald's because their coffee spilled on their lap and burned them. Is that really McDonald's fault for making a hot drink, or is it person's fault for knowing, these are the kind of things they just don't do this. I know that. Yeah. So if someone it is a problem, because a lot of the time the first thing someone will do is go to Google, and then you're like, oh God, here we go. But I can say, yeah, do you honestly think that I, as a human being, who I am, that I would sit here and sell you something if I honestly thought it was going to make your hair fall out? I just wouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
And we wouldn't have the growth. We wouldn't have the repeat sales that we have, because the products work.
Yeah.
We have, our VIP program, because of the repeat sales we get from our VIPs, just shows that these people buy the products again and again because.
Allie, how do you feel about that subject?
I think that I'm a hairdresser too. I don't do hair anymore. But I used to. I think that it's such a slippery slope, because you're absolutely right. It's not just Monat that people are saying, hey, this made my hair fall out. I mean, it's Pantene. I think it was Tresemme.
Yeah.
That's L'Oreal, Tresemme.
And if you look, what people are saying is it's almost identical for all of them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can sue this company. Well, I'm going to say that Tresemme did it to me, and now I'm going to say that L'Oreal's done it to me, and this thing, and
like
that
maybe
thing.
it's an allergy or something.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that the one, because I read the Monat lawsuits, I don't know, a while back. I've read the what you can read, the Tresemme one, because that's not new. That's come up a few times. And the one main thing that I've noticed after reading ingredient list and knowing about things like chemical relaxers as well is sodium hydroxide is a very effective ingredient at breaking down the hair follicle and chemically straightening it. That ingredient is in a lot of these products. And I think that it's worth noting, that, hey, not everybody is going to have their hair fall out from having sodium, hydroxide in their products, because it's in a lot of things. But some people, yeah, absolutely, it's going to break down the hair bond. It can. It's a job in a high quantity. Little bits of sodium hydroxide, not the end of the world. But it's just one of those things that I think is worth noting a lot of the times too. Like, hey, if you've had problems with this ingredient, maybe don't use something that contains this ingredient.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avoid it.
Avoid
It's like
it.
when I work on cosmetic counters, people will come up to me and they would say, "Is it hypoallergenic?" I'd say, "Yeah." But that doesn't mean you're not going to have a reaction.
Right.
Hypoallergenic means that we've removed known allergens.
Right.
When I worked for Clarence, if someone comes and uses a product but has a sensitivity to one of the floral ingredients, it's going to react to them. That's not because there's anything wrong with the product. That's because they react to that ingredient. And
Yeah.
Right.
my favorite one is when people used to come up to me and they'd say, "Does this have alcohol in it?" And I'd be like, "Which alcohol? There's like 60
Yeah.
odd cosmetic
Right.
alcohols." And then they go home
Right.
and drink wine. And I'd be like, they're just, people like to be fragile flowers. They like to
Well,
think
yeah.
that they're unique.
Right.
Yeah, and what exacerbates the problem is, naturally with an MLM, where your whole selling model is people who, you're recruiting people to sell the product for you, they automatically, all of them become hairdressers, all of the Beachbody coaches become nutritionists, and then and all of the oily moms, which by the way, I hate that term, oily moms.
Oily mom.
Like moist.
Like,
I don't like
the
that.
bad thing to be an oily mom. Like all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, my essential oils can cure cancer, and I don't need to ever take antibiotics again." And they put together the infographics with absolutely no, scientific. I think there needs to be way more regulation with that. If somebody
they won't take a vaccine that hasn't been officially FDA approved. I do like the oily moms. It's funny that when I would post on Facebook, which I don't do anymore. But when I did, like, I get migraines and I would like maybe be like, "Oh, I've had a rough day." You know how you posted those random stupid ass posts on Facebook. And I would get inundated with my church loving oily moms who would be like, "Oh my gosh, I have some peppermint. You need to try peppermint. You need to try this."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
put some breast milk
"You're
on
giving
it."
me a worst headache. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
I think one of the problems with, and this is again something I think that needs to change within MLMs in general, is this overhyping of the products.
Yeah.
And this, it doesn't have any nasties in it. What the frick is a nasty anyway? Like
no chemicals.
No chemicals.
Free.
Bullshit. Everything is a chemical. Everything in the world is a chemical.
Like, you have to put chemicals in it to make this product. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
It's just no nasties. And this is like, I think when Monat started, people overhyped it totally, and it bit them in the ass hard. So this is like what I loathe is when it's like we get trained, and I don't know if this is just a Europe thing, but we get trained that's like, do not say that it's going to do this. It is not going to it's not going to cure your cancer. It is not going to do this. It's not going to do that. Stop overhyping your products. If you've got good hair, it will help to make it better. It's not going to help everyone.
Yeah.
It's just like everything. So don't, someone comes to me and says it's not working. I'm like, "I'm really sorry. That's too bad."
Yeah.
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
We have
mum jeans look like shit on me. They might look good on you, but so I'm not going to wear mum jeans.
Not one size fits all. I think that.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. Yeah.
But the overhyping and the whole wellness thing.
Yeah.
Oh, like the keto. That's a big. Yeah. I know. I knew Allie was going to make a face. It's annoying. Like, and I'm getting keto. So there's a TikToker on TikTok that I do love, and whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, but I started when this person started putting keto. I have to fix that on TikTok, and I wonder partly if that, like, when did that ban happen? I'm like really blurry.
The beginning of the year. I mean, almost immediately into 2021, I think.
Okay, so I feel like that had something to do with it because we had some pretty elevated TikTokers pushing.
Oh, and now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. I started getting inundated in my DMs. Like, I actually, before I got political and I had my DMs open for a little bit, I actually ended up turning my DMs off because I was getting hit by people that were supposed to be like followers and friends. Like, oh my gosh, have you heard about keto? And I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, you're in another country. I don't want your product. Bye-bye. So yeah, I feel like I feel like the pressure sales aspect and the companies pushing for their salespeople to be that way is a big problem. Like I've mentioned Airbond to other people and I've been told, oh no, that's their protocol. Like that's literally their training. Like be a fucking vampire to these people. Do not let up, do not back down. I'm like, how is that beneficial? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think because as a business model, it's worked for them. But it's like, you know, it's like cold messaging people. You can sit and cold message 100 people and eventually it's going to work with someone. But there's so many better ways to go around it. You know, build a genuine relationship with someone and don't be weird.
Rule of thumb.
You know, it's just that simple. Don't be weird. I mean, when I say don't be weird, I can be a little bit weird sometimes. I don't mean don't be your personality. I mean, don't be like,
I'm weird. I get it.
In my name.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm all for people being
I'm crazy,
weird.
but same thing.
Don't be like icky. Don't be cheesy.
Yeah.
Don't be
Don't be gross.
Yeah. Don't be gross.
Don't be problematic.
Like just stop.
Yeah.
It does my head in.
A couple things. First, like we were talking about regulating, you know, claims on these products and things like that. The FTC is what we utilize here to report the Federal Trade Commission to report, you know, claims of like, okay, well, this essential oil is going to cure cancer or COVID or whatever. And at the beginning of COVID, they sent out, I think it was like 20 companies or something. They sent out these warnings because their distributors were saying, oh, COVID, you need Plexus because, you know,
vitamin D, and
vitamin, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. There is the Federal Trade Commission that are supposed to regulate these things, but they need to be tighter on those regulations. You can make reports, but they rarely ever come of anything. Same with TikTok. You can report all day long. Hi, TikTok. If you're watching, you need to take these videos down. The ones that are, you know, just huge.
COVID deniers for days.
Yes.
Right.
And then the other point, I don't remember what I was going to say, but I have another point and I can't remember what it'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, I could talk about this all day long, literally. So, you know, I think to kind of wrap things up, maybe both of you could like give a little spiel about what you think needs to change and kind of, you know, let our followers know where to find you and you know, what are your ats and what social medias are you on and just like what do you guys want to see change in this industry? And I know that that's a loaded topic, but Cassie, we'll give Allie a minute to think about what she wanted to say. We'll go have Cassie go first.
I remember now, so we're good.
Okay.
I like I said at the beginning with you guys, I 100% agree with what most people dislike about MLMs. And I would love to see people raising the bar and being transparent, being authentic, and stopping with the spam and stopping with the inflated claims. I would love people to be more open-minded if they have if they've got preconceived ideas already about MLMs, to maybe think actually they're not all like that. And that there is a human at the end of the day, there's a human on the other end of that message.
Yeah.
So even if like I had one that I explained when she came at me with some diet products that I'd had a past with disordered eating and I wasn't interested. She said, oh, I used to be bulimic. These shakes are great. And I was like, whoa, back the fuck up. Because if you were ever bulimic, I can assure you would not be selling me a diet product right now. So you're lying. And I even that I didn't go, which I would have liked to have. I was just like, thanks very much for your time, delete and block. You know, you don't no matter how problematic someone is, don't take it down to that level where you're being a shitty human, because the world doesn't need more shitty humans. So that's my feeling. I would love to see the stigma. Maybe is it a pipe dream to think that it would be erased? Probably within my lifetime, but maybe perhaps elevated a bit, not so that it isn't as bad, and that people maybe start seeing it as something different. And that's my dream. If I build it, it will come.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
a side
find me on
gig.
Instagram,
Good dream.
Cassie Mac. You can. I am on TikTok. I'm Mrs. Cassie Mac on TikTok as well. But again, it's just my cats, really. More than welcome if you like cats too.
If you like cat content, hit her up.
Yeah, if you like that content, then I'm your girl. And I'm on Facebook, Cassie McFarlane, and that's pretty much it, I think. And I love to this has been really lovely, I think, because I do love to have these conversations with people, especially when they can be, and say, see, there's common ground with everything. Because I think we all agree that there is things that need to be changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It takes a lot of guts to come onto the podcast. I know that, and I know you were nervous. I hope that we didn't scare you too much.
No,
okay,
it's like a Zoom call. It's really what it is.
Right.
It does feel like a Zoom call.
There's not a bunch of people watching right now. It's just we're having a team call. Allie, same question.
Okay. First, my point that I forgot real quick was I think that another thing that I would like to see change too, and I'm sure you agree with me, is the MLM, the higher ups telling their teams, like, you need to find common ground with these people. And when you find that common ground, go after them for that common ground. Now, common ground is good, but when we're going after people who are in similar groups on Facebook for, like, let's say miscarriages, cancer, illnesses, you know what I mean? Yeah,
there's some common ground that's off limits.
It is off limits. You cannot prey on people who have also had miscarriages because you feel like you relate to try to be like, oh, well, this really changed my life. I started doing this and I got pregnant right away. You know what? Just that. In a nutshell, that's got to go. We can all agree you shouldn't be doing that. And in these training calls, they're literally telling people to do it. And it blows my mind. You can see them on YouTube. It's horrible.
That's painful.
Mm-hmm. What I would like to see change, aside from that, is I would really like to see these people being able to earn incomes that they deserve for their work. If you're an independent contractor within these businesses, then you should be getting compensated for your work. None of you should be investing $200 and coming out negative $500. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see them actually make money for their work and be true independent contractors. If you're going to do work for a company, you should be getting paid always. If you're working for them, you're free advertising for them. So you should be getting paid. I would love to see that change.
Benefits.
Hiking up the products exponentially has got to stop it. If you like it, just say you like it and say why you like it, but don't say this mascara is going to change your life, because it's not.
No.
Mascara,
it's not therapy. It's mascara.
You still have to go to therapy. God,
you still have
that.
But isn't it like every influencer that you see on Instagram? Oh my God, I've tried the foundation. They're like, oh my God. And you're like, seriously, the foundation.
You know what's crazy is a lot of the MLM, the higher up MLM people are also these influencers. So now we've got influencer culture meeting multi-level marketing culture, and it's just the worst cocktail of your life.
Yep.
And I hate it. I would like that.
Like TikTok.
Yeah.
Used to be.
Oh God, yes. It makes me crazy. And I would love for the companies that are truly operating a pyramid scheme to go quicker than they do, because there are companies operating as pyramid schemes for decades. I would love
Yep.
to see the government get their hands out of multi-level marketing
Yep.
immediately. It's not.
That's a huge one.
It's not okay.
Government overreach is always a problem, though. Let's be real. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if that is over here, but is it? I don't know if this is purely an American thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it
well-
is. We suck.
Look at us.
Yeah.
It's messy, but my name on the screen at Just Alice is my TikTok name. You can follow me there. I do a lot of anti-MLM content, but I also do a lot of other stuff too. Because to be honest, I got burnt out, girl. So we had to sit up a little bit. But my Instagram is different. And if you follow me on, it's too hard to say. So if you follow me on TikTok, you can find me on Instagram. I'm on there.
It's in your profile.
It's in the profile. Yeah.
We agree, Thomas. We agree.
Yep.
Internet is regulated. Yes, I 1000% agree. They're working.
Yeah. Right. Plus benefits. I mean, like if
Yes.
you don't have to pay for your job to go down to 7-Eleven and get a full-time job there and get benefits. Like, why can't you get benefits within MLM? Because it costs too much money.
Never. My problem isn't with the distributors. It's because I want to see them treated fairly. If they're truly employees
Right.
and owners, then they should be treated as employees and business owners, getting paid, having benefits, not
Right.
nothing. So
Yeah.
It should be structured more as like a franchise than
yeah,
an MLM, in my opinion.
buy-in, like you're buying.
It's different, obviously, because being Canadian and living in the UK, we have standardized healthcare. So
Right.
it's not things.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Yeah.
that.
So if you
Yes,
want to
we
be in
also-
an MLM, go to the UK
Yeah.
because it sounds like it's a lot better there.
Yeah. Just do UK MLMs. Let's
Yeah.
just avoid the American ones.
Yeah.
We're garbage.
You guys are.
I mean, I'm not saying us personally, but America as a whole is not where it's at right now. I'm just saying.
No.
We're kind of going down in a smoking fire, if you haven't
Yeah.
noticed.
It is a dumpster fire.
It is a dumpster fire
My
that
specialty.
The worst cost of your life.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining and hanging around for this long. It has been our pleasure. We will see you guys next week. And everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We will see you next Wednesday.
bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Guys.
Down.